G'day, welcome back. I'd especially like to welcome my new subscribers, and I hope you enjoy the content of my channel. If you missed part 2 of the turning twin centers solution I came up with for my little lathe, it's a link up there now. You can go and watch that first, then come back and watch this one. I mentioned in that video that I have a major upgrade to do to the mill, so follow me over there to the mill and we'll get started. Over there. Alrighty, right about now you're probably thinking to yourself, what the hell's he up to this time? Well, while I was trying to do some maintenance on the lathe and I was milling bits in that, this thing was giving me the shits because of this. Hang on, let me lock up the head first. This, look at that. That's about best part of 3/4 of a turn and nothing's happening. Now, you can't see it, but up inside, up in there, the lead screw is turning, but it's not moving. So I bit the bullet and I bought one of these. That's right, a ball screw. I bit the bullet and I used some of my funds generously supplied by my patrons to buy one of these. I've been resisting it for quite a while because they're quite expensive, but I lashed out and I bought one. Now the only thing that's given me the shits is this is exactly how it showed up, and it hasn't got the plug in there they normally have in them, so I'm going to have to be very careful that I don't wind that thing off the end of it. Now I can't just lash out and start fitting that up because I'm going to have to use the mill to make some parts for the mill. Say what? Well, I need a fitting for here and it has to pass through. Let me move the camera. Alrighty, so what I've got to do is I've got to machine up a nut that'll pass through here because it bolts onto the back of the plate that the head bolts onto. So I've got to machine something up for that. I was contemplating trying to get it out of this, which is the biggest piece of round steel I've got, but it's not quite big enough, so that only leaves casting something. So I'm going to cast up an aluminium housing to put in there, and I think I'm going to have to machine it up in the mill. I might try and machine it in the lathe if I cast it, because I'll be able to cast the rib on it that sticks out through the slot, and which means I won't have to mill that. I might be able to do it all in the lathe. But anyway, we'll see how we go. I've also got to do something else, and that is cut a piece out of the security grill which is behind this thing, which will not impress my wife one little bit, but I'm going to have to do that to get some decent access to the back of the mill, because I'm damn sure I don't want to pull all apart to get at it. It's only about 2 or 3 inches from that grill, if that, and the only way I can access it is through the window from the bedroom. Anyway, so we'll get on with all that. Alrighty, so while the wife was out I thought I'd get in and cut this piece out of the grill, but unfortunately she came home before I could cut it out and wanted to know what the hell I was up to. You can see here the old nut. I actually tried once to take the slop out of it, but it didn't last long. These two here, I actually moved them out a bit originally because they were interfering with the nut, but I might have to cut them out altogether yet. I don't think I want to try and weld them back in there from in here. I might set fire to the curtains. But anyway, it's only these two that are a problem. The top one and the bottom one are not an issue. I really don't want to cut them out. I may be forced to yet, because I don't know if there's enough room for that ball screw nut to fit down behind it. But it is only a 16mm ball screw, and this is a 20mm lead screw, this one. But it's only got a hexagon nut on it. But anyway, so that side of it's out of the way. It's easy to get in there and make a few measurements now too. Alrighty, so I've made this up this morning. It's just a mil or so bigger than the diameter of the bearing case, so that I can machine a little bit round at the top here. I've made up a template so that I know what I'm working with, and now I'm going to cut one edge off it so that it'll be this edge here where I started. It's got a little indentation in it. Cut one edge off it so that I can glue a piece to the side. So I'll mark that. I want to cut it off. Would have been easier to cut this when it's when it was still square, but anyway, shit happens. Right. So now I've got a flat area to glue a piece on the side. Alrighty, so that's almost the exact right thickness to fit in that slot. But before I break it all down, I will machine the sides off just a little bit so there's got some clearance. glue this in the centre somewhere. This is the glue I'm using, this one here. I just bought a new bottle, arrived yesterday, because my daughter made the last one, or someone, I assume it was my daughter, made the last one disappear for a very long time, and then it suddenly reappeared with about a ½ inch in the bottom, and it had gone all hard. Yeah, good on you. It's a glue made especially for these foams, and it works like a contact cement. So I'm just going to smear these two together so I get good coverage. Righto, and you've got to wait for it to flash off like you do with contact cement. Alrighty, so let's glue that on there as best I can by eye, try and get it right. Something close to the centre. And anyway, like I said, I'll mill the sides off before I knock the mill down. And the top section here, I want to actually turn it round to make it the exact same size as the top of the bearing. I didn't leave myself much, but just enough to clean it up. I've left this side round because I'm going to try and machine all this in the chuck, so I do need somewhere where I can locate 3 jaws. Even this section here, I can machine the top off that if I have to get the length right. But that's it. So, well, it's not quite, I need to make a sprue for it yet, but I'll do that once this is dried up properly, and then glue that on, and then I'll get some plaster on it, and then maybe tomorrow I will cast it up. So here we go. Alrighty, so this is the way I'm going to cast it. That's the sprue. It's just that really lightweight pissy foam that burns away very quickly. And I haven't made it very long because I've made this up. That's a piece of that McPherson strut that I had the shaft out of, and it's a seamless tube, so I'm hoping I can use that to cast a bit of round aluminium bar. Can't see the sense in making a full crucible full of molten metal just to cast that. So what I've done is I've put a hole in the bottom so that hopefully I can just cut it off, and then if it won't fall out, just knock it out through that hole. And I've rounded off the top of that so that it will fit nicely over there. So the idea is I'll bury it in the sand. I will sit this because it's quite heavy, right, and I run the risk of sucking all the heat out of the molten metal by pouring it into a cold steel thing like this. So while I'm melting the rough bits of casting, I'll sit this over on top of of my furnace and get it hot. I've left that tab on there so I've got something to pick it up with, and I'll sit it back on the top of this. Can't get it too hot or it'll burn this away before I do anything. And as you see by that wire cutting through it, sit that back on the top of it very quickly, and then get the molten metal in there. So hopefully, you know, once that forms up, I can just keep filling this up until I run out of metal, and then make a you know, round slug that I can use some other time. Alrighty, so I've preheated that bit of tube with the MAP gas, so hopefully it won't suck all the heat out. So it's time to see whether this little idea of mine is going to work or not. Haven't quite got a full crucible. I thought it was full, but by the time I took the dross off, it wasn't. It tells me that might be a failure. The amount of stuff that came out of there then. Oh, I'll have to wait till it cools and see whether they got a winner or not. Well, I'm not going to try that again. Look at the bloody state of that thing. Anyway, at least I should be able to get this to do what I want it to do. I just have a lot more cleaning up to do first, that's all. Not much in there. Alrighty, so I managed to clean this thing up reasonably well between the bandsaw and the belt sander. It's a bit rugged on this side, but I put it in here before, and Grips pretty well. I was worried about how centered it'd be, but I don't know how well you can see it. I'll spin this white lathe around just a little more. This spot runs pretty true in the centre, so it must be fairly well centered. You can see that's where I ran it on the spike to cut it out. You can see that's pretty much in the centre, so I think we'll be okay to machine this end round. It did come out a bit bigger than this, so I've got a bit of room to machine it down. The only real worry is this crappy bit here is below that line there, I think, but I don't know that'll matter much because I've got to machine this side flat anyway. And I did get a bit out of that pipe, that piece there, a usable piece, and I'm glad it wasn't the full length of it because I had quite a time knocking that out of there. It was quite tight in there. I had a closer look down that pipe, and where the bits have been welded on the side, there are some little lumps on the inside. So maybe if I get a hone from somewhere and hone it out, I might be able to use it again, although I won't try doing that. Although if I bury that pipe a lot deeper into the sand so it can't fall over the way it did, it might actually be okay, because all those funny bits that were running down the edges here, they were just real leaked out the bottom. I even tried gluing. I glued the foam to the bottom of that steel, but anyway. But it's bar day today, so I'm going to do that tomorrow. Alrighty, sorry about that. I was on a bit of a cricket tragic and I was listening to the Australia-Pakistan test match. Well, I didn't quite get that cleaned up. Hopefully I can get that milled off. Alright, so next up I'm going to move the camera around and we'll drill and bore this damn thing. Alrighty, let's get on with this. Drill I bought recently doesn't much care for drilling steel, so let's see how we go in aluminium. I think I'll stick something bigger up there first. What are we starting with? That is 4/100ths over where I wanted to end up, so hopefully that'll fit. But the biggest problem is I can't try it because I can't get the damn thing in there. Alrighty, get that out of there and try it on, make sure it's okay, and if it's not, I'm going to flip it around, true it up, chamfer the back edge like this, and then if I have to, I'll take a real fine run down through it because I'm worried that it might be a bit tapered. Don't know what I was worried about, it's just about a perfect fit. Beautiful. I'm really toying with trying to set up the rotary table, mill these sides off. I mean, they don't really need to come off, I just need to mill a flat here and trim these sides here up, so I don't know, I'll bother doing that, it's only there for looks. Well, that's as far as I can go for what I can do in the lathe. So from here on in, it'll have to be in the mill. At this point in the video, I'd like to thank my patrons for the continued support. It's greatly appreciated. If you'd like to become a patron, there's a link down in the description. You can sign up down there and toss me a couple of dollars every month. If you don't want to become a patron, there's always Buy Me a Coffee, and there's a QR code on the screen there. You can scan that, or there's always that thanks button down there. Alrighty, so while I was lying in bed last night, I was thinking about what I have to do to this thing. I want to machine this off here, but with the great lumps that were sticking out the side, it was going to be hard to get a centre so I could accurately, take the same amount off both sides here. Can't really machine the top, but I do want to just clean it up slightly, because I can't machine that to length until I've got it fitted in the back here and I know just how far it sticks out. Then I can mark it and then machine it to length. Anyway, then I started thinking about it. I put the rotary table on and go to the trouble of setting it all up. And I thought, nah, being the lazy bastard that I am, I suddenly thought, well, I've seen this hack that guys use to machine things around, so I'll give that a crack. I've never tried it before, but it works out alright. I've already done the other side. It's had a trip on the belt sander, and that's how it came up. So, it's okay. I can live with that. Probably polish it up a little bit more than this. So once I clean that side up, I can sit it on this flat in there and then get a centre on it and then machine the sides off and just knock a little bit off the top here. Alrighty, so that's about it for the mill side of things. I'm thinking about putting it back into the lathe and just rounding these edges off a bit because the slot's rounded. And outside of that, I just got to drill some holes this face to mount it with. This thing has a port for oiling, and a while back I pulled the master cylinder apart and I saved the little reservoir from it, and I'm going to go and see, I'm going to town because there's a couple of public holidays coming up here and everything will bloody close for days, so I have to get in there today, see if I can get some 1/8 or 3mm tube and make up some fittings to fit here and into the side of this, and mount it up on the wall so I can fill this with oil and just slowly feed that bearing all the time, so keep it in good condition, keep it moving smoothly, because it is a bit hard to get at around the back there. Alrighty, I'm pretty happy with how this is all coming out. It fits on there beautifully. Everything matches up. It's bloody nice. That's cool, man. I've gone down a bit lower in here because I'm worried about the width of this. I won't be able to mill it off. I don't think I might have to grind it off. It's going to stick out too far and rub on in the back. But anywho, after editing the last little bits of video, once again I'm out around 20 minutes. I've still got a fair bit left to do, so I'll have to split this into 2 parts again. Come back next week and see how we go fitting all this up. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash that like button and give it a great big thumbs up, and I'll see you all next week. Bye bye.